Clap means start of the episode. It does. And we're talking about magazine stuff today. We're talking about discussions, stories. Stories is something that Kunal does a lot of research, and I don't spend as much time on the internet as he does. And you've got some interesting stories this time. But let's put a question to you. Do you want to start out with the stories you've uncovered or a discussion about rookies? What excites you most?
We should discuss rookies. Let's do
Rookies.
that first because the two most hyped driver arrivals have been the most disappointing ones in 2025. You want to guess the first one?
I'll go for the tougher one because we know the easier one. So that's fine. Do you mean Lawson as the hard one? Like, because it's clear we're talking about Kimi
The
Antonelli.
most hyped driver arrival in 2025, was
okay. Overall 20. Oh, I thought about rookies only.
no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all about one seat, isn't it?
It's all about one seat. It was Lewis Hamilton. Also, the most hyped rookie was who?
Kimi Antonelli.
Yes. So all the aura farming everyone's done, all the hype everyone's created. And
Sorry, one sec.
In the case of Antonelli,
I need to. How old are you again?
why does that matter?
No, it's still a valid question. Okay, give me a decade in which you were born.
80s.
80s. A man in the 80s knows aura farming. That needs, firstly, a round of applause.
Because that's the only thing we've been getting, right? If you see the Ferrari Lewis Hamilton stables, that's what we're getting, aura farming. But my point is, with all that aura farming, the two drivers who struggle the most, the two drivers we wish to see doing better, Hamilton and Antonelli.
I think it's the Carlos Sainz curse. He's cursed, and rightfully so. How do you replace him just like that? I'm a Sainz fan, so
the only driver you support is Carlos Sainz. Anyway, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and in the case of aura farming, Ferrari, Maranello, Lewis Hamilton, all of us were a part of that aura farming. With the case of Antonelli, it was just Toto Wolff who was aura farming. He was the one who pushed Antonelli, saying, "This is the next Verstappen. I know this is the next big rookie. And maybe he is. Let's be patient." Same thing happened with Max Verstappen, when he came onto the scene. The only two differences, or the only difference between the two is Max was on the pace and crashing and making mistakes. Whereas in the case of Antonelli, he's a little more than off the pace than we would have all liked and still crashing.
I still need to put this question out though. Is he a bad driver? Is he having a bad season? Or is Formula One so close that his average performances are being made to look below average? Because we are statistically having the closest season ever. I don't think Kimi is driving bad.
No.
Is it just that it optically looks worse because he's at a top team, and also because Formula One is so competitive, and also because we have a budget cap, so you can't make the changes you really want to immediately?
Well, firstly, we should not have the budget cap in this discussion because there's no theory that even if you put $1 billion on improving Kimi's car, Kimi will improve. So let's not go.
You can just design a car around, but you wouldn't do it around a rookie. Unless he's Max Verstappen.
That's another big myth. Engineers design a car that can go the fastest, and then a driver has to adapt that car to his driving style and the other way around.
Well, they can.
It's not that here's Max, or here's Lewis, or here's Kimi.
Correct.
The seat is designed around him. There are stuff on the steering wheel that goes to tweaking around the driver's input. But just if a driver says, "Listen, I want the accelerate on the left paddle," that's not going to happen.
But what they can say is the car feels too understeery, and if they have a common consensus, they can produce more parts that solve that problem, which we haven't quite had.
No, that's not the truth again. If a car in the ground effects era is understeery, it's the ground effects era. That's just how this whole effect of the Formula One is. So,
but agree or disagree, they can make less upgrades now than they can in the theoretically.
In theory, yes.
Yes.
But upgrades are again not to help a driver settle in. Upgrades are to make the car go quicker.
Oh well. Austria, Lando Norris, the suspension. Can you call that an upgrade or a tweak?
It's not an upgrade. It's a separate part made available. That's not adding performance to the car.
That's adding performance to the driver.
It's helping the driver feel better in the car, who's able to extract more performance. There are better ways.
And can you do more of that if there's no budget cap?
The point is, after a point, it's not just the machine that's going to extract performance. Yes, it's a man-machine sport. A lot of emphasis is on the machine. But the machine doesn't replace the man. Let's put it that way. And I'm going to give the classic example of, say, Pastor Maldonado or Lance Stroll. Or, I mean, if you were to put Nikita Mazepin in the Red Bulls from a couple of years ago, do you think he would have dominated?
Well, I know something similar happened in Formula 3 with a certain driver who made their own Formula 3 car to dodge testing restrictions. So I'm not gonna say much around that. But the point still remains. I think his rookie season, by him I mean Kimi Antonelli, optically looks worse because of how challenging the season is. Because I'm thinking
Absolutely.
of rookies who had terrible seasons or tough seasons. I'm thinking Magnus in 2014 after the podium, it all tapered off a little bit. And I can't think of any other rookie who's had a struggle worthy season after that. But Antonelli stands out because he's collided into one potential world champion, one world champion. And that's all that stands out. But I don't think has had a bad season.
I
You
think
think
it's
so?
what you said. F1 is so competitive that Alpine with 20 points is still last in the championship.
Well, we've had eras when Sabo were pointless.
Yeah, yeah. And the difference between being eliminated in Q1 or Q2 is less than a tenth, right? And also it's exacerbated by the fact that Antonelli's been put in that high pressure seat, replacing Lewis Hamilton. The messaging has been clear. No, you can't replace him. I'm just stepping up. So they've been also on the PR side of things very, very cautious of the wordings they choose. But at the end of the day, has he come ill prepared? Has he, like Jacques Villeneuve said, that he's not ready for Formula One? He's making F2 and F3 mistakes in Formula One. The same thing was said about Max Verstappen, but like I said at the start of this conversation, Max was still on the pace and making mistakes. You know that whole saying, you can make a fast driver crash less,
Yeah.
but you can't make a slow driver go faster.
Would you say Kimi has been off the pace?
Apart from the Miami pole that he had, right? Kimi's not been there, and he's had mechanical retirements, he's had issues, but he's also had a lot of driver errors, unforced errors that we call them. Look at Sanford, for example. He had the time to refresh, reset through all of August.
So did Max in 2015. Monaco stands out
Yeah,
among many others.
but like I said, Max was super quick and crashing. If Antonelli was super quick and crashing, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Is being 2.5 to 3 tenths off your Grand Prix winning teammate in your first season being slow? Because in my definition of Formula One pre 2019, that isn't.
That's true. Okay. I would say yes, being slower than 2 tenths is, or being 2 tenths slower is acceptable. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's all down to his adaptability. It's all down to, has he had those moments of brilliance? That's what you wait for, right? That's what
Exactly.
we did with Max as well. That yes, he crashed the last 5 races, but that sixth race when he didn't crash, there was suddenly that performance where you're like, oh wow, what was that? We are yet to have that for Antonelli.
I have a question
Miami
then.
sprint pole was there.
That was that, yeah.
Was it sprint pole? Was it regular
sprint pole?
Okay.
Has our benchmark for rookies been raised way too high by Max Verstappen?
Of course.
I think that's what's going on here.
I think absolutely. I think benchmarks for rookies have been raised high by Max Verstappen, but is also being raised high by all the 4-5 rookies we've had this season. Look at Bortoletto. Look at Isaac Hadjar. They were all, oh, by the way, if you win in F2, you get a seat. That's what their contract said, right? Or that's what their discussion said. But what was the case with Antonelli? Just drive one season in F2. We don't want to be seen as putting you straight into F1. And then he did the season with Prema. He was decent in F2.
Yeah, few good drives, yeah.
But anyway, is that the end of the discussion? Do we go to the stories?
The last bit of it is, I forgot what my question was. The last question threw me off, that are we done? But I was thinking of, Antonelli and the timing of it. Do you think one more season in F2 would have benefited him? Or perhaps starting out with a theoretically smaller team, like what they did with Russell and Williams? Although I'm not calling Williams a smaller team, but you get what I mean in this case. Do you think that would have benefited him? Or are you fine with the trajectory and now just feeling that the time will come? I'm with the latter.
I would say the time will come. Okay, but is he the next Max Verstappen? Is he the next Lewis Hamilton? That seems increasingly less likely. And maybe in 3 years' time, you guys are going to clip this and remind me that I said this. But everyone you speak to in the paddock actually believes that. He's a good driver. He will still be bankable. In 300 races, could he be like the next Nico Hulkenberg, for example? And I know I've just suddenly dropped the bar.
Yeah, the ceiling has gone from 94 overall in F1 to perhaps 86.
I don't know what ceiling that is, but okay.
If you have to put a rating to Formula One drivers in a video game. That's what you do, right? Verstappen would be like a 94 rating. Lewis is 95. Michael is, yeah. You see, the multi-time world champions get a mid-90s rating. Like a good midfield driver gets a mid-80s. Where
This
do you think
is
the
the
ceiling
Gen
is?
Z discussion of
It's
is
a
every
video game.
former Formula One world champion a legend?
Well, of course.
Is he?
But,
okay,
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, but last question on this. Where do you think the ceiling is? If you have to put a number. Now that I've given you a video game reference, if Max is a 94 overall, where's the ceiling for Kimi?
I think Max's 94 is less. But anyway, I don't know what Kimi's ceiling is. I don't understand how these algorithms are made. I know there's tons of you out there.
That's Kunal trying to be politically correct.
No, it's like rate the race. I wouldn't care less to rate a race. I mean, I'd rather run a fan poll and say that's what the fans rated. Like the driver of the day is at least somewhat a fan-driven.
You're a
vote.
bot, Kunal. Even see nowadays AI can rate it too. Come on.
What
Put a
did AI
number.
say? The top 10 most generational drivers. Where did I think Heikki Kovalainen made it somewhere? Nick Heidfeld made it somewhere.
Well,
Yeah. So my point is, if you're going to trust AI results on these ratings, we need to have a discussion.
very smoothly dodged. But okay, stories. What have you got for us this time?
Well, we've had Russell and Antonelli. There is going to be an announcement. Yes. But maybe Russell had to hire Harvey Specter from Suits fame. Now that's where how old you are will come out. Have you watched the Suits?
Is Harvey Specter
Gabriel marked.
the bald guy from Suits?
No.
The
he was
you
the
know who
main
I'm,
character, the main lawyer. So
the one who looks like Henry Cavill.
I have done
Superman?
No, he was not super. Okay, yeah.
Am I on the right track? You tell me
Maybe.
if I'm on the right track.
Right.
I haven't watched Suits.
Okay. So then
What's the deal? What's
the
deal
hotshot
here?
lawyer. That's what George Russell would have hired to get his contract through with Toto Wolff.
I think Christian Horner needs Harvey Specter more than George Russell at this point.
Then
Have
we
they,
also-
one second, sorry on that. Have they agreed a compensation, Kunal? Because I read somewhere for Christian Horner, it was anywhere between 40 to 60 million pounds. But do you know what that anywhere is?
No, I don't care because none of it is coming to me. So
Well, you never know. Maybe he sets up a Formula One team and hires you as their marketing head.
ah,
You've done that before.
I have.
So we're announcing that Kunal is
I
in the market.
chose sides way too early when I had to, but on that later. Max Verstappen and Toto Wolff were actually on holiday together. They had a lunch during the summer break.
In Sardinia.
I don't know where,
Yeah.
but
Is this news to you?
I'm just saying that.
Did you not track the jets? Or
no,
the
no,
yachts?
this was not that. This was when they actually accepted that we had a lunch and.
Such a
and
high
now-
school couple
Can
thing.
you imagine? Can you imagine? What stands out for me is they're openly courting each other. And this is a strategy by the Verstappen. This is a strategy by Mercedes and Wolff. Mercedes, of course, Wolff wants him at the cheapest, and there's probably a price drop that will happen if 2026 Red Bull car is anyway extremely bad. That's what Toto Wolff is betting on. But knowing the Verstappens, it doesn't matter how bad the car is, okay, he will still ask for a big price. So they accepted that they were at lunch together. Another thing that happened is
Who paid for it?
Christian Horner. But another
Fair.
thing that happened is, the in 2026 the cars are going to have double, like a
X
mode
mode
where
and Z mode, is
yeah,
it
the
not?
mode where both wings flatten on the straight, right?
So it's X and Z.
Something.
Where's Y?
I don't know. I don't
Why
know
is there an X and Z?
I don't know why there's no Y. But so to test that car, Ferrari actually made a mule car with the DRS wing on the front wing. That's the length to which F1 is going to prepare for 2026, even though the engine
Ooh.
regulations and several other regulations are yet to be cast in stone.
Did you say Ferrari made a mule car?
They made a mule car.
That's what they're 25, 4, 3, 2, 1, 20, 19, 18. No, not 18. Not 17. 17 was a good car. 16, 15, 14 was the biggest mule car. That's a donkey car, not a mule car. 13, 12 was also part of that. 11, 10 was yeah, they've been making mule cars for a long time.
They have.
For a very long time. In fact, on that, another story. Speaking of mule cars, Ferrari are giving a 2022 race car to Cadillac, for their Formula One testing. They're going to be driving that around.
It's not confirmed yet, but it's rumored.
No, Graham Loudon said that, didn't he?
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to be using that as a part of their trackside preparation because, of course, Cadillac don't have a car and they need to set up their trackside operations team. So how do you do
And they're
that?
going to run a Ferrari
They're
power
going to run a
unit.
Ferrari.
And Ferrari would have nicely sold off one of those cars at a premium because these
Absolutely.
things don't come for free.
I
But
wonder how they run it though, because they would have to send Ferrari engineers to train them, right?
yes,
Like-
yes, that's possible that Ferrari engineers will be on site helping them run the show. But if the car is sold off along with the power unit or whatever, it all depends what sort of contract there is. It's-
Very interesting that Ferrari is openly giving a car. I think it's the first time we've ever seen a Formula One team giving their actual race car, no matter how old, to another team to run it, just because it's a first.
It's a first.
We'll
And-
make a reel about this 10 years down the line.
And another first is Jacques Villeneuve actually said the drivers just need to remove mirrors. We'll have better racing. Because the only time you use mirrors is actually to block a rival. What's your take on that?
This comes from a driver who got, let me frame this correctly, who benefited the most from his rival using a mirror. Yes, that does make sense.
1997 Harris.
Exactly.
There's a lot of history behind this.
You could say that this statement has also come from Damon Hill, and I would still believe you. If you know, you know. But do you really think so? I think, okay, one question. Are mirrors really needed in Formula One?
I think so, right? I mean, if you remove a mirror, firstly, safety reasons.
Yeah.
Second is also, we enjoy the blocking, don't we?
Yes.
What does the DRS do? It gives you this wing open and you just drive past the driver. Imagine you have DRS and you don't have a mirror. You will not be able to battle. Then you're just a sitting duck even more
Yeah.
with no eyes or whatever you call it, unless you can hear, a second, engine tune or engine tone behind you. But
Which Max can.
which a lot
Or
of
Mike
which
can.
Max can.
Or Fernando can as well.
Yeah, which a lot of drivers can. But I think they should just remain on the car.
Yeah. I think one of the most beautiful sights is to see a driver on the edge of moving under braking, but not actually doing so, and on the edge of weaving as well, but not crossing the line, like Max does, like Fernando does, or even Leclerc for that matter. Great at defending positions that way. That's an art. I don't think we should take away mirrors, no.
No, we shouldn't. Yes,
No.
we should keep them. On to other stories. Max Verstappen, just the way he's officially courting Toto Wolff so publicly. And I don't know what George Russell and Antonelli would feel, because you're calling a rival team's driver on your boat to have a meal or wherever. But what about us? We want a contract. We also want that lunch. We want to hear
Yeah.
what was discussed. So I don't know how that all falls within driver philosophy, even though Toto says he's very, very open with his drivers. But Max Verstappen similarly is openly courting an NLS debut. With
Is that Kunal talking about motorsport outside Formula One?
Yes, it is.
What is NLS,
I'm
Kunal?
always
Tell the
tracking.
world.
I have no idea what it is.
Uh,
It's at the Nürburgring.
yes, the Nürburgring Landstrecken series,
Yes.
Nürburgring Endurance series, basically.
Yes.
They have amazing races like the
Yes.
24 hours. They have different 3, 4, 6 hours variants as well. Basically, you could be a professional driver and make a career just by driving at the Nürburgring through the NLS. Phenomenal championship. I've commentated on the digital version.
Exactly.
Love that.
That's the main part.
It's amazing.
But speaking of Russell, Antonelli, what they feel, I liked how Russell, Alonso all jumped to Lewis Hamilton's defense when he said, I'm useless. Ferrari needs another driver. Russell said that, he says this all the time because he's the best driver of all time. So another way of aura farming that the Hamilton camp has, sort of realized that they can do. Get other drivers to praise you.
What did Alonso say about Hamilton, saying that he's not
the
good
best
enough?
driver, he's not forgotten how to drive. It's difficult to do this with Ferrari, blah, blah, blah.
Alonso said this.
Alonso said that.
I wonder if this statement would have been the same if Lewis had said this in 2007. Just, we're trying to do what if said inside
Of
line.
course.
Right? Yeah, so what could have been, sir?
That's true.
But
But
what Fernando had said, I agree in 2007, because he's the kind of person who would be like, yes, he's right.
he's
I'm
useless.
daydreaming now.
But
Maybe he must have said that, I don't know.
yeah. Then coming to, I don't know, who do we talk about next? The Verstappens, if we can speak about them. Jos Verstappen is racing in the Belgian Rally Championship. And it's impressive, right? How they just continue to keep racing. And that's what I think Max is going to be like. He might be out of Formula One, but he will be racing in so many other fun series, like we spoke of the NLS. And his best friend, his lunchmate, Toto Wolff, runs this placement agency, as we know, right? Where discarded drivers from Formula One, he gets them a seat elsewhere. He did that with Ocon. He did that with Bottas. He's failed with Mick Schumacher.
To a degree.
Huh?
Wehrlein as well.
Pascal Wehrlein, yeah, because he got him in Formula E.
Yeah.
And I think Andrea Kimi Antonelli might just be the next driver. He'll have to then go placing elsewhere.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. Can you... Sorry, this is not my opinion. It's a thought in my head. I have a million thoughts in my head. Not all of them I wish to own. There's a thought in my head. Can you place a Formula One driver back into Formula 2?
Colton Herta's going there. He was dreaming of Formula One.
That's a topic we need to talk about. Sorry, I'm annoyed at the fact that an IndyCar driver needs to go through to Formula 2 to get to Formula 1.
I think it's very fair.
See, you're saying IndyCar ranks below Formula 2.
I don't care where it
That's
ranks.
what the FIA says, by the way.
Yeah, that's what the FIA says, yes. But
rubbish.
To me, it's not about where it ranks. It's just that there is a set process in place. It's a different series. It's not governed by the FIA. Remember that. It's outside of the FIA ladder.
And so we'll give you less points.
No, it's the FIA doesn't have any visibility of the series, the control of the series, the fairness or the transparency of the series. So the FIA says, you want to make it to our top step of the ladder, which is Formula One, you've got to come through our ladder. Is that right or wrong? I think it's wrong. We've seen in the past, people jump from Formula Renault, again, FIA adjudicated, but to Formula One. But now it's like you have to do Formula 3, you have to do Formula 2, you have to do Formula 1. We'll talk about that later, why this ladder is so critical. It's got very little to do with sporting reasons, but we'll talk about that. But I think it's okay, right, that an IndyCar driver has to get the super license points and goes to race in F2.
Rubbish.
My question is, what if he's blown away by the talent in F2?
By someone who has more testing time, probably. But no.
Nobody tests more in F2. Everybody's got the same
track time. Most seasons
but even
are
track time, right? Even track time. Nobody's got more track time.
No, what if you've done one more season or something?
Yeah, I mean, if you do. So let's keep that variable out, right?
No, he's good. You know what? That's actually a very fair point. Next year will be a litmus test to see where one of IndyCar's best, I'm not saying he's the best out there, I think that's Alex Palou, but where one of IndyCar's best actually ranks. Because I think he's going to school everyone.
You think so?
Yeah, Colton is very good.
Okay.
But actually, he might technically have a broader range of skills, but Formula 2 is all about making sure you have select skills at a very high level. Because remember in IndyCar, you don't have tire warmers.
Yeah.
So you warm up your own tires on the outlaps. You don't have power steering, so you've got to manage that on your own. You've got to do lots of stuff with weight jackers.
Formula 2 doesn't have power steering either.
Oh yeah, Formula 2 doesn't have power steering. You're right about that. Turbo engine, so that's one similarity in both of them. Street circuits are there, but IndyCar is a lot more bumpy. You have a lot more settings to make in an IndyCar while you're on the road. So differential settings are a lot more, suspension settings, front wheel wing flap adjustments are a lot more as well. So I think Colton has the raw material it takes to be successful in Formula 2. I just want to see, can he adapt to tires? Can he get a fair shot at Formula 2? Because we know you don't always get a fair shot at Formula 2.
He's going with Prema. He'll get a fair shot. I'm serious. Anyway.
All I'm saying is I don't believe Formula 2 anymore. I don't know about teams. I just don't believe Formula 2 anymore.
Okay. I'll tell you what I don't believe. That Flavio Briatore actually said that he has mismanaged Franco Colapinto.
He has admitted a mistake.
And he's agreed to mismanaging someone. He's not agreed to a lot of other mismanagement.
He's not agreed to... I don't think he ever made a statement saying, I fixed the race.
No.
But he's made a statement saying, I mismanaged Colapinto.
Yeah, and I think that's just to get more money from the Argentinian.
Wow. Yeah, because everything that he does is tactical.
Yeah. So remember that. Then...
Wow.
Yeah.
In what way? Did he tell
No, he just
more?
said, I put too much pressure. I should have given more time. And, basically he said it's a struggle that he's not improving on predecessor Jack Doohan. And either way, he was only 4 tenths off in the last race from points, but still off, right?
Yeah.